Welcome to the Get Unbusy podcast. I'm your host, Kate Philpott, and this podcast is all about throwing your busy work out the window. You deserve to stay locked in on the parts of your business that light a fire under your hoo-ha, all right? The passion-driven freedom lifestyle, not being glued to your laptop every waking minute of the day. It's time to build a business that works for you, not one that works you into the ground. So, let's get unbusy, shall we? Hello and welcome back to the Get Unbusy podcast. I'm your host, Kate Philpott, and we've got another very juicy episode for you today because I'm going to be joined by Rebecca Carmensita, a client experience and systems strategist who works with creative CEOs. So think branding and website designers, event managers, interior designers, copywriters, and all of that. So she helps creative business owners build aligned, elevated client experiences backed by sustainable systems. And anyone who knows me knows that's right up my street. So yeah, really excited for this one. And at the heart of Rebecca's work is creating strategic structures that feel good and actually function so that your business doesn't just look beautiful, but it feels better to run. I first came across Rebecca on Threads and I absolutely love her presence on there, as I'm sure you will as well. But essentially, Rebecca is one of our speakers at the Now That's a Membership Summit this September on how client experience is brand experience, and today she's going to give us a fun little peek behind the curtain. I cannot wait for this conversation. So Rebecca, it is so great to have you on here. Welcome to the Get Unbusy podcast.
Thank you very much, Kate. Thank you very much for having me.
Oh, you are so welcome. You're actually the first systems girly I've had on here, and like I'm a systems girly, so I feel like we're gonna get on like a house on fire.
That is amazing. I love that. I feel like there are definitely a lot of systems girlies out there. So, but yeah, unique.
Yeah. And actually, speaking of, I'd love to know a little bit about the background of how you got into this specific line of work. Like, we're both systems girlies, but kind of in different ways. So is there an origin story there?
Oh yeah, no, definitely. As always with everyone. I think so. I started my business like 5 years ago. I didn't become like a system specialist straight away. I started as a VA, grew towards an OBM, online business manager. And then I thought, you know what, systems is really my jam. Let's just go into that direction. But I think it kind of started when I did my, I'm going to find myself after my corporate, like master in corporate track. I'm going to go find myself on my graduation trip in Asia and traveling about and just thinking, this is amazing how I'm going to do this. I want to keep doing this and Googling options of making money online. Lots of questionable suggestions, but also like affiliate marketing and also virtual assistancy.
Yeah.
But I think after that, it took like another 2 years for me to actually take the risk and do it. Because, it's scary. You start something new, you have no experience in it. I was very still set in the mindset probably of, I think maybe a lot of people have this, when you finish your education of you need to follow the job. There's a job description. That's the one that you have to follow. You need to fit in there. You need to, work. You need to dress appropriately to be at work. Your hair needs to look good. All that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So once I kind of let that go, and this was probably when I was in New Zealand picking avocados, where I was like, you know what? Either I'm going to be stuck in a tree for a long time, or I can just take the risk and do something.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Isn't it so interesting how there's this like set path based on whatever direction you choose. But I know for me as well, like the path, nobody could have set out that path ahead of me because when I started business first, I was in personal training and then I went into true crime content creation and now I'm a system strategist. Like, how could you map that out ahead of time? Like,
yeah,
you know what I mean?
I feel like half the time, like our jobs, they're not even existing. Like when I was doing my bachelor and my master's degree, they did not exist at all. Like the work that I didn't even know that it was possible to do this kind of work. It's a lot more, I think, approachable today, but still, going through education, doing your master's, your bachelor, whatever, you learn how to do an internship, how to apply for a company. But no one, I don't think, I mean, maybe there is right now, but I would love to have a course on how to start your own business. And not, the dusty white old man crap of like, you need to set a business plan and you need to have a budget. But you can also start your business without a business plan and without a budget, as long as you love what you do and you care about what you do, and
Mm,
you just take the risk.
yeah. And that's another interesting thing is like I actually never planned on having a business personally. I I studied it in school and I was like, this is so boring. Bleh. Like I because I wanted to be a personal trainer, I actually got to the end of my personal training course and they were like and then, we were asking our lecturer, like, so how do we get a job in this? Like, what does that look like? And they were like, oh yeah, so you'll be self-employed, you'll get your own clients, you'll have to do this, this, this. I was like, whoa, 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 whoa. Sorry? We have to be self-employed? I have to have my own business? I had no idea. And then all of us were a bit like, well, how the fuck do we do that? And like, I hadn't a clue.
You don't learn that. No one
No.
teaches you that, like how to get your clients, how to keep on going when everyone, it's normal. Like you do lead, you sales lead, however you want to call it, but you connect with people, you try to sell your services. You're gonna get a no. You're gonna get a no a lot of times, and it drains your confidence. And a lot of people quit at that point
Mm,
because it's not nice to constantly be turned down, doing something that you love. But it's also something that they can't teach in school, but they kind of should prepare you for that. I mean, especially, if you're
yeah.
doing an education where they already know you're going to be self-employed, because it's a whole other part of business that you also have to learn.
Yeah. And in your school years, like, that kind of concept that they kind of prepare you for what it's going to be like to have a job. There, it's, your typical working hours, you're doing extra work at home, but that's something that just, based on what you said there a second ago, just sparked in my mind. Like, they don't prepare you to not have things go your way. They prepare you to like you do the thing, you get the result. You do the thing, you get the result. But like in entrepreneurship it definitely doesn't always look that way. So no wonder it can be so jarring when you go into business and you're like, "Oh, it doesn't actually go my way." But actually that's not necessarily a reason to stop. It's just part of it.
Yeah, and also no one teaches you how to do it.
Mm.
I remember when I think in my first year that I was working as a virtual assistant, I don't think I told anyone.
Mm-hmm.
As in, my partner knew. I think maybe my parents, I think probably have told my parents because they're at one point they were like, "You're living in a van. How are you making money?" I was like, "No, I'm good." But I don't think I told any one of my friends really, because what if it, would go the other way and I would fail? What would happen? And
Mm.
it's such an interesting thing to kind of look back at because yeah, what if? Because I probably, if I would have failed and I would have told my friends, they would have been the biggest supporters, and all the love and hugs from them. But
Mm.
no one kind of teaches you the software. If I have people asking me, I'm a certified Dipsada specialist. They'll ask me, "Oh, how did you become that? What did you learn? Where did you learn that in school?" I'm like, "No.
Mm.
I mean, I did hotel management and human resources.
Mm.
Like that's not related at all to what I do right now." And you just have to go through trial and error and teaching yourself what the knowledge of the software and failing. A lot of times failing
Yeah.
and continuing after failing. That's the most important one.
Yeah, exactly. And actually, I'd love to segue into the main kind of topic that you'll be speaking about in the summit in September is that like your client experience is brand experience, and we have a lot of online business owners listening to the podcast, and like I just love this concept. I love how simple that is, but I'd love for you to like, what are some ways that people maybe unintentionally create like a really disjointed client experience, and like how can you fix
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, I think that's such a good one. I also feel like a lot of people, we all have experiences of going through the experience of a disjointed client experience for a brand. Sometimes very difficult to take a step back and reflect on our own client experience, on our own business, and how you continue. It also doesn't mean that once you've set it up, it's done. You need to consistently improve. Like I am still constantly improving my client experience because there are things that are popping up where like, ooh, we could streamline this. But we've all had this beautiful, beautiful brand that we see on Instagram with the stunning graphics and the brand voice that's just on. And then we buy something from that brand and it's like crickets. No,
Mm,
there's nothing.
yeah.
And the entire brand of how they are representing themselves is completely mismatched with what happens after. It's almost as if the sales part is the most important part, and afterwards, oh, we brought them in, we got paid, done. So
Yeah.
that sort of like inconsistent tone and inconsistent branding, I think that's one of the really, really big ones of creating a client experience that just doesn't work. Or, like for example, if you are on Instagram and you call everyone like, "Hey Queen, how you doing?" Like that's your vibe, and then your email comes like, "Dear client, thank you for
Yeah.
joining us." It doesn't work. It's such a mismatch, and it kind of breaks the emotional connection because a lot of times with creative people, they've poured so much love and so much energy and so much, thought into that beautiful brand they have created.
Mm.
And then that needs to flow through into the client experience, into all the different customer journey touch points that you have with them.
Yeah.
Because it's worth it. They put so much time and energy in that.
Yeah, and this is a really interesting one from my perspective too, because like I'm always maybe in a productivity strategist, I always want things to feel easier for people. Like, yeah, if you can figure out how to do a 3 hour task in 1 hour, let's do that. That's more important than anything because we always have so much to do. Um, and that's where it kind of goes into the likes of, like, I talk about templates a lot, right? Yeah, love a template, but like, please change the template to fit your own brand voice and stuff. Like, I'll even provide templates like part of, in my offers and stuff. But I'm like, but like, you don't want this to sound like me. You want this to sound like you. But I'm just giving you like the beginning stages so that, you're 80% there. You just like tweak the things to make it suit you. And yeah, it's just like when you're saying, oh, when someone buys and then like the confirmation email and there's that mismatch, it's like, hey, actually it's okay for your personality to be in there too. I don't know if it's like a money mindset thing for people where it's like, oh my god, they actually bought, now I have to be really professional, but like
Yeah,
maybe.
it could. Yeah, 100%. It could definitely be. I think just like, especially with, I've I've heard this statistics and it's an amazing one. I think like 70% of buyers regret happens after like 24 hours when someone buys. And this can
Mm,
literally be, a $50 purchase or $5,000 purchase. Um, but you want to kind of catch them before that happens. You want to make sure, first of all, like in that entire process when someone is buying with you, that they know what is expected of them, what is expected of you, and how you work together. For clients, I think for creatives or like entrepreneurs, we need to set the rules and boundaries of how clients work with us. If I want to get paid via credit card only, I'm going to say that. If I am not responding to your emails between after 10 and 3, that's going to be somewhere. They're either in a contract or in a process. But your client also needs to know like what is expected from them. Within what time frame do they need to, for example, send back a reply to feedback on brand directives, or what do they need to do, or what do they need to provide by what date in order for you to continue the process. All of that is usually built up when they made a decision of, yes, I want to do this, I'm gonna pay $5,000. And then when it's quiet, I would instantly think, oh shoot, did I make the right decision? And often what we hear back from business owners is they say, no, but I don't want to do it automated because, it doesn't sound like me, or that's not personal for me, or it doesn't work that way because I have a very, unique business. But there's nothing personal about forgetting to connect with a client. There's nothing personable about forgetting to stand in, hey, I'm so happy that you joined. I can't wait to go through this process with you. There's nothing personal about forgetting to send templates or like services that you provide to clients. If a client feels that they need to email you for, hey, where are you with the process? Hey, I don't know what the next steps are. Hey, do you need anything from me to continue? That is kind of your teeny right, like flag wavering
yeah.
there of there is something that needs to be fixed in the process.
Yeah, and it's definitely one to get the balance of because it's so important for the client on the receiving end, but then also for you to get the balance as the business owner of like, am I replying within a decent time frame, but also reasonably? And the reason I'm saying that is I actually had a call with a client yesterday, and she was basically like she was having a bit of a struggle with her own work boundaries. Like,
Mm-hmm.
she would reply at any hour of the day and was staying up really, really late to respond to clients. I mean, she was like, last night I was replying to a client email at 3 a.m. and I was like, why? For what purpose? Like, they don't need you to do that. And also, like, her clients are in the same time zone as her. So, because it's like an in person business. Um, and I was like, but like, they're not needing that from you, you know? Like, they're also asleep, you know? Like, well, you know, there's
No
no,
one's asking you.
yeah. But just like you said, like having something as simple, like in terms of communication policy, something in your email autoresponder or your email signature, like, this is when I respond. So your client knows, or, you know, whoever you're contacting knows, like, they don't have to breathe down the neck of their own email inbox to see if you replied yet.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to breathe down the neck of your email inbox to see if anyone's emailing you and looking for a fast response. It's just like eases a lot. And I know that's only one little bit of what you said, but it's just like really fresh in my mind, because that, like, we can get into that cycle where it's like, okay, and this is what I'm saying, it's a balance. The, like, balancing the people pleasing tendencies, because yeah, we're working with clients and they're, you know, we're dealing with accepting receiving money from them and like providing a service, but also, you know, to a point where you're not replying at like 3 a.m. to your clients when that's just not necessary.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just,
I think it's such an important one to kind of for people to understand as well. Like, you need to be very, you don't have to, like you said, reply at 3 a.m. You don't. The first thing I always say to my clients, for example, when I'm doing a Dubsado, which is a CRM build, is like, it doesn't matter when you work. You have absolutely, the freedom to work whenever you want, but you want to make sure that your clients are not expecting a reply back at 10 a.m. You
mm,
can schedule your email to be sent at a later time. Like, I will write an email at 10 p.m., but I will make it scheduled for 9 a.m. because otherwise I am inviting a client to think, oh, she's working at that time, I'm going to send that message. And I think as well with, having the notifications turned on or constantly checking your phone, it is sometimes maybe something, first of all, we're all glued to our phone. We always have all the notifications on. Literally turn them off, makes life so much easier. But you shouldn't spend your life in your inbox. For people having their own business, that is not where your greatest ideas are coming from. If
mm,
I am looking at my phone the entire time, and it doesn't even have to be the inbox, but on social media or something else, you drain your energy and your creativity. Like, go outside and go be. That's where you get ideas. And having the need to reply within an instant maybe also stems a little bit from coming from corporate side.
yeah,
When someone doesn't reply on Slack, I mean, we've all probably had a little bit of a corporate experience where if you don't get a reply within 3 hours on Slack or an email, there is someone from higher up coming back at you. And you don't have to bring that with you. This is your business. You set the rules, you set the boundaries. If you don't want to work on a Wednesday, don't work on a Wednesday, but do communicate it with your clients.
yeah,
Mention it somewhere,
yeah.
email signature, contract, proposal, again in an email when they're onboarding, but you need to communicate it because you can't expect your clients to blindly notice either.
Yeah, and that's actually such a great point. Like, this isn't where you get your best ideas from. It's like so beautifully leads me into the next thing I was going to ask you, which, because a lot of my audience would have creative brains as well, and I'd love to just open up that conversation about, like, why do creative brains need systems? Like, paint in that picture, because I feel like creative brains are also the ones that are like, ew, structure, don't give me this structure. But like, in my heart, I'm like, oh, you've no idea how much this would open things up.
Yeah.
So I'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
It's not, I think a lot of people they think like, oh, structure, it's a rigid regime that I have to follow. It's not. It's there to help you and guide you and to give that support. I think, we've all seen the movies or the shows where it is like romanticized messy artists, who, oh, I forgot I had an appointment with the doctor, or I forgot your friend's birthday. And it's very much romanticized as that is how a creative should be. But what all those beautiful movies and series, of course, don't show is the negative side that it has on it. Because if you don't have your systems in place, you take up space in your brain that should be used for the creativity. Like I said, I don't get the ideas when I'm behind my laptop. Usually when I'm out going for a walk, I'm meeting with a friend, I'm reading a book, that's when something will come up and I will write it down, and that's when the ideas come. For creatives, it's exactly the same. And For them, being creative and having those ideas, that's their profit generating activity. That's where their money lies. That's where their zone of genius lies. So if your entire space in your brain is filled up by tasks you have to do, the tabs that are still open are of, like these teeny tiny ideas that you had that are not coming to fruition, but they need to be somewhere, emails that you still have to send, you're taking up that space for the creativity. It's called cognitive load. The more cognitive load that you have in your brain, it basically uses up all of your working memory as well. So you are juggling all of it together and it kills your creativity.
So
And
true.
yeah, like I said, it doesn't have to be super solid structured. It doesn't, it's not that you are restricting yourself, you are supporting yourself. And it doesn't have to be a full on project management tool, CRM build, all the automations in the world. It can be super small to start with and grow from there. It doesn't have to be massive at first.
Yeah, you're so right. Open loops are exhausting. Like, I think a lot of people don't realize just how much energy that takes to even just have those open loops. I'm going to bring this to a really simple example. Each week we order our groceries, right? So on a Thursday night, you can make the final changes to the order for it to arrive on Friday. And I kept having to remember. I was like, oh, I wanted to add that thing. I wanted to remove that thing. I'm actually fine because this thing is happening, blah, blah, blah. Like all of this, like little stuff. It's something so small. But then I was like, why? Like, with all due respect, why am I relying on my brain for this? So now I do have it as like a recurring task on a Thursday. Add whatever I need to the Tesco order. Now I don't have to think about it because like I'm in my task list. Like I'm looking at it. Oh yeah, got. And like throughout the week, I'll jot down the ideas so I don't have to then sit there and like, what do I need? What do I need? Like it's just such a simple shift, but like it takes a lot of cognitive load away that I, like you said, can be using for the zone of genius work, the creative stuff, and like the stuff that I actually want to use my brain for. I don't need to use it for the fucking Tesco order.
No, no, especially. And I think like this, it's such a simple psychology trick. Like when you're younger and you can't sleep, um, I remember like my mom would always say like if you're like having all these thoughts in your head or you're thinking about or because it's usually like when you lie in bed and then it hits and everything kind of overflows with ideas, things that you still have to do. I remember my mom would always say, get out of bed, write it on a notepad, so at least it's out of your head. That's like a simple psychology trick. It also applies in business. It's not just to get sleep, it also works for your business. If you want to focus or get something done or like be creative, you need to make the space in your brain.
Yeah.
Write it down, put it in your notes app, put it in your project management tool, add it on your own Slack channel, like on your own single part. It's fine, but don't keep it in your brain.
Yeah. I actually love this conversation. I want to. I know I just got so excited from about this stuff. I'd love to talk about going back to the client experience things. Like, how can a business owner create a fantastic client experience without just adding things to their own plate? Because I think a lot of business owners will be like, yeah, this is like, I would like to make this better, but like, am I not just going to be pouring and pouring and pouring from my own cup? Maybe that's like a big question, but
It's a very big question. I think it's like a combination of it all. And like I think first of all, it's never about adding more. Having the systems or
oof.
tools or workflows in place is making the work do the work for you instead of you doing it. So it's
Yes.
reducing it.
Amen, sister.
Yeah. It doesn't necessarily mean that the first time you're going to implement the system is going to feel like less because you still have to get confident with it, trust it, and make sure that it works for how you want to run your processes. But there are so many there are so many different kinds of ways of, updating your client experience and your workflows, like, lead inquiry, making sure that you follow up with people if they want to work with you, booking workflows, offboarding workflows. Um, I think one of the biggest one, because I mean, these we can also all Google, but I think one of the biggest ones that clients quite often overlook is how you ask for feedback.
Mm.
Like if you are a, for example, branding designer and you create your brand directives and you have 3 rounds of feedback that you have within your contract that you allow them. If you're going to send an email with, hey, here are the brand directives, let me know what you think, you're opening up this whole door of what they can give feedback on. and also maybe not what you need feedback on. Plus, like for example, I work with an interior designer. She sent out a mood board for the vibe of what the interior would be. So it was not specific on the objects that were in it, but more, European style or more of a Bali vibe, the colors, all that kind of stuff. And she would get feedback on, I don't like the color of the vase in the red corner. That was not what the feedback should have been about. It should be more about the mood board. But if you're not telling your clients what to give feedback on, they will fill it in for you. They will tell you, because if you're leaving gaps, they will fill in the gaps for you.
Yes.
So it is as simple as creating a Google form even, or an Airtable form or a ClickUp form, having the brand directives in here. What do you want to have the feedback on? Sending it to the client gives the feedback. That is round one. Because if you're having a continuous, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, you are 20 emails later, still on brand directives number one, but you're probably already, gone through all of your feedback options. It makes the process so much easier and smoother.
Yeah.
Just having it in there.
Yeah, and that's one of those things that it makes it easier for you and the client. And it's respectful for both people's time,
Yeah, you are the expert. They pay you because they trust you, because they want to work with you. So you need to hold their hand. Because I would feel absolutely gutted if I work with an interior designer and they just sent me pictures and I'd be like, but what do I need to give feedback on? I want to work with you, but you need to guide me on the process. You're not controlling as a business owner. You're giving the client the clarity that they need.
Ooh, that's such a good shift. Yeah, because like I would have no clue. I'd be like, I don't know,
exactly.
It looks good to me, I think. But if I was asked specific questions, I'd be like, oh yeah, no, actually, this part. Yeah. So what would be some small but mighty moments in like a member journey, if we're talking specifically, in maybe a community, but that would make a big difference to the client?
I think 100% like check-ins, making sure that you check in with the client. Not, hey, you've joined the membership and I'm going to check in within 6 months if you have feedback, because probably they might have already left and they haven't given you the feedback on why they have left. Just like sending it within 3 days. Hey, how are you doing? Are you finding everything? Do you maybe want to hop on a call to go through this? Because you can't depend on the client to reach out to you when there's something wrong. Sometimes you have to give them the opportunity to get back at you. With an email, easiest way to do it. And you can automate it. Like having that email in there, it kind of gives this opening for a client to be like, hey, actually, not really finding what I'm needing, or I haven't received the login credentials, for example, could even also work, because automations aren't perfect all the time. So I think check-ins are really, really, really important for that one. And as well, with whatever you are giving your clients in the membership, is making sure that it works for them. So like feedback check-ins with that. Are the resources that I'm giving you actually fulfilling your needs and working for what you wanted? For example, if I would be in a social media membership, I don't only want to learn about nurture and engagement and visibility, because I can probably get that from a Google search. I want to know, how can I implement that knowledge into my business? How do I transfer the knowledge from what you are giving me into something that I can actually use within my business and implement, and actually, for example, create the social media post and see an effect from that? Those kind of like midway nudges to check in. Is what I have created, how brilliant it is, actually working for the client and doing what it should be doing for the client?
Yeah, and of course, if you were in that membership, the membership owner could think, oh yeah, look at all this value I'm giving, but then not even knowing that there's a gap there for the member, it's like, hey, what are we doing here?
Yeah, exactly. I think like a lot of I saw a post on it recently from a branding designer, which I thought was it was such a reflective post. She said, I created this beautiful logo suite and I handed it off to the client, and then 2 months later I saw they didn't do anything with it. Because you can hand over a logo suite, but if, for example, I have no idea where to update it, how to use it, how do I implement my brand voice, how do I share that with clients? It's just going to be another, it's basically going to be the same thing as like another freebie that you get that sits in your Google Drive and no one's ever going to use again.
Ooh.
So you need to give people the implementation with it as well, how to use it.
RIP to all of the freebies lost in everybody's Google Drive. Like, I've definitely got some, I'm not gonna lie, but you gotta prioritize sometimes. But I think it's just, if at the end of the day, what you're creating isn't, it might be received by someone, but if it's not being really received, like actually taken on by someone, then like we're really
Mhm.
just wasting our time and energy here. Like, we're not actually getting anywhere. And the whole point, like, we're all in this, whatever business that we're in, whatever niche, we're all here to help people. So we don't just want our people to like not be part of it, not be engaging with the content and with whatever value is being put in there, because then ultimately we could all just be going and doing something else. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. And I think it's such a big thing. I remember one of the a social media membership that I was in that had such amazing content. And the way on the implementation part that she did such a good job on was she did like a monthly co-working session so that you would see her in action with the templates and all the resources that she had
Mm,
on how to actually create the content.
yeah.
And it was so valuable because for everyone on it, it was literally saying, that's how you use it. And I can copy that from my business, or I can implement it in this way in my business. And it's a very simple thing to do, but you need to look into more than just providing the resources. Or if you're, for example, building a CRM, just providing the CRM build and then being hands off.
Mm.
That entire like offboarding, or like for if you're doing a build, an offboarding period, or when you're giving a resource in a membership, that implementation period, that is essential for your clients to actually feel like their hands are being held while they're going through the process.
Oh, yeah. I know, and you're big on building for ease and for sustainability as well. So I suppose for the person who's listened to this and they're like, okay, I'm overwhelmed and things are feeling a little chaotic. Where would you suggest that they focus first? Or if it's not one specific thing, how do they figure that out?
I think realizing that you want to commit to a change or want to change something in your business is already a really, really big one. What I would probably say first, start with whatever is stealing your energy. Just sit down and think like blank sheet of paper, think of whatever task you have to do each week, each day, whatever, that absolutely drain you. As an example, for example, hate creating my own graphics for social media. I'm perfectly fine writing the captions, hashtags, coming up with ideas, setting all it up, but doing the graphics turns me into a little bit of like a control freak. I get uninspired. I can't do it. It takes me hours.
Mm.
I don't want to do that. So I made the decision to delegate and hire someone for that. Doesn't necessarily mean that all the work that you are doing or that's stealing your energy needs to be delegated or hired out to someone else. It can also simply be that it needs to be automated. And I would always say look into automation first before you hire someone, but really think about the work that you're doing. Like sending reminders to clients. Do you really have to do that personally?
Mm.
Like I said, there's nothing personal about missing a check-in or missing an invoice being sent or missing an onboarding email. Can you automate that? In what way can you automate that? Um, can something literally just be deleted? Maybe you're
Yeah.
consistently sending out a resource to a client, but then you're actually looking at the opening rate and it has never been opened. You're spending 50 minutes on that each day. Do you really need to? Remove it from the list. Do what makes you happy. You started this business because you love what you do. You love it from the core of your heart. You need to keep on doing that. There's always going to be stuff that you're not going to like, but you have to do it. For me, for example, that's bookkeeping. I hate numbers, but I have to do it. There's no one else other than my bookkeeper who I work with that does it. Um, but that part, for example, make it fun for yourself. Go to a coffee shop, have a coffee, and do it in a fun, cute way.
Yeah.
Still get it done. But anything that you can delegate or automate, write it down and just start small. You don't need a full CRM build or, like I said, a full project build. You can just start with like 3 automations of, for example, having a widget on your phone that creates the task for you while you're on the go in your project management software tool. Super easy. Doesn't need to stay in your head, can go straight into there. Like make something sustainable. It's not about perfection. It's about starting small, but doing it and just keeping on doing it until you come to a place where you actually start enjoying your business again.
Oh, yeah, that bit. Because, like, none of us actually started this business to be fucking miserable and, like, you know, be the worst boss ever. And I love what you said as well about, like, sometimes things just need to be deleted. Like, this is something that I'm a big fan of, not gonna lie. Like, as much as a productivity strategist, I'm like, you know what increases your percentage of tasks completed? Actually deleting things that don't need to be completed. Like, yeah, you could, you know, invest the 1, 2, 3 hours into checking some boxes. But if it's not necessary, like, what if you were just a bit more ruthless, deleted some stuff, that task completion rate just goes up. Let's do that. Like, obviously it takes some clarity at first, knowing what is and isn't important for you. But like, yeah, that's a big one. I just wanted to kind of expand on that a little bit more. But if it were me listening to this, and I feel like I'm going to be, as I'm editing this episode, going to be like taking notes, I would be taking a hell of a lot of notes. You will also be speaking on how to infuse client experience in every member touch point in the Now That's a Membership Summit in September. But in the meantime, where can people find out more about you and what you do?
On my Instagram is probably the easiest way to see a little bit behind the scenes as well, with stories and all the posts, or via my website. I mainly offer CRM builds, but I also offer strategy calls. So this is also really good for if you want to have like a 90-minute conversation and really seeing what works for your business. It's like you say, we can buy a bunch of templates and find all the information online, but it's always going to be generic. Sometimes we need something that works for our business, for our energy level, or for example, our situation and our lifestyle. That's definitely something that we can work out as well in a strategy call, finding out where you want to go, where are you now, what is the gap between that, and how are you going to close it.
Yeah, I'd also really recommend her threads. No pressure, Rebecca. I'm a fan. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on to the podcast. It's been an absolute pleasure having you. I've really enjoyed this conversation and you are such a gem. So thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, Kate.
All right. Take care, everyone. I'll chat to you next week. Bye. All right, gorgeous. That's a wrap on today's episode of the Get Unbusy podcast. If you got some juicy golden nuggets from this episode, I want to hear about it. So take a screenshot, share it on your Instagram stories, and tag me at More to Life Kate, because your girl wants to know. And remember, you're an absolute powerhouse. You can create the life you've been dreaming of, and I can't wait to see you pop off. Chat to you soon. Bye.